Hey there, little starlights or stardust or pixie dust or whatever you want to identify as. So we are a piece of this galaxy. You've seen that meme. It's kind of funny in a way. It's also sad because it's a whole galaxy and then there's an arrow pointing down to the one little piece in the galaxy where it says something like, and here you are crying in your shower. Oh, I can identify like what a small speck I am in the whole spectrum of things, but at the same time, how important my existence and the existence of others on this planet really is. And Vedic astrology really tells us what our dharmic blueprints are and why life unfolds the way it does. Not just how we choose, but the unfoldment itself in the very cosmic sense. It's like a cosmos are within us and they express outside of us. And what I wanted to touch on, and I'm a day late and a dollar short, but not really, because I mentioned this when Mercury went retrograde in one of my posts about Saturn going retrograde. There was no big hurry, in my opinion, because it's here till October. There's also no big hurry when it comes to Saturn, because as you can probably already tell, it's this planet of pressure, of pressure is the best way to put it. When Saturn is in somebody's chart and it's expressed at its highest, it gives this impression of being able to like double down and do mantra and be like a monk maybe, and living isolated and, you know, able to do these long-term projects. So Saturn does all planets have their place, but this is the highest aspect. The lower is probably more like a curmudgeon, an old cranky man. You know, I think as my teacher Sam described it once as Saturn might feel like that security guard inside the store, like staring at you and kind of giving this pressure. But when we think about each of the planets in our charts, and not just the karmas that they kick off and ripen based on our own specific birth time, but each of the planets has this karaka, or these karakas, to express in our lives. And karaka just means like what it relates to. So for Saturn, it's very much about old people. It's about our timelines. It's about our isolation. It impacts all of these areas for us, even teeth, actually. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's also teeth. So that's what it expresses in its lower form. Like I mentioned, it's kind of a curmudgeon. When a planet goes retrograde, as it is till October 2022, it just went yesterday, but we're feeling it quite some time before, and we'll feel it quite some time after. The planet's getting closer to the Earth. So what's really important to know and to work with is where this is in your chart. Like what areas of your life are impacted by Saturn. For each sign, it's different. For each person, dependent on how that planet is expressed in their chart, it's also different. Like for me, my birth Saturn is in retrograde. So this is not a super unfamiliar feeling to me. It's, you know, somewhat similar territory. I've been there before, but it rules these areas, and for me, it has to do with service work, hard work, the things that I'm willing to put forth for those that I love. It might indicate health issues. So just watching that I'm not burning out on both ends, you know, just really depends. But when we think about each planet as these forms of God in our lives, or these formations of our lives, what's most important to think about is that they have a lesson, right? And you'll hear people say over and over again, and oh, I'm in a Saturn return, and oh, that means I'm screwed for the next 7 years or whatever. I don't subscribe to that as much as what I think the planets do, and what I've been taught is that the karmas that we're given, which means opportunities or challenges or actions, how we respond to them and how we work with it is really on us. So having a Saturn retrograde cycle, depending on where it is in your chart. So for, you know, if you're a Leo, it's going to be like the hard things in life, and also your relationships will come up to play. But it doesn't mean they're falling apart. It means that you might be given an opportunity for this doubling down, for endurance around that. Where Saturn works for us is like when we understand that the fears that we have to attachment, when we work with dropping our attachments, dropping what it means to us to feel connected in those ways. It sounds kind of funny, but that's a better way to say it. when we are able to work with knowing what we have is not out there, but it's contained in here in our connection to divine, then we are less inclined to be derailed, I guess is the best way to say that. Or one way to say that. It might not be the best way to say that. Saturn brings about fears for people, their concerns around their stuff, the things that we have, you know, specifically when it's in this Aquarius place where we're reviewing things like our service work, our humanitarianism, are the things that we really want to help other people manage in their lives, you know. And if we're doing it in an altruistic way, we aren't doing it because we're afraid that if we don't, that we're going to be on the outside of the circle. We're doing it because we want to bring forth peace and contentment with others. And, you know, reaffirming the boundaries that we set up for ourselves. You know, instead of blowing up, we work on adulting and creating space for us to have discussions with people. Hard, if they are, maybe, to step forward with your own truth. But when you say your truth with compassion and loving kindness and honesty, you cannot hurt another human being with that. You have to say it lovingly and kindly, though, so this is not permission to go out and have a tantrum on somebody. But Saturn is this planet that is about longevity. It's about persistence. It's about dis-ease. It's about dis-ease is discomfort. So how do you work with that? When you get uncomfortable, do you start to like binge watch? Do you eat? Like, what is it that you go to? My suggestion would be to go into that discipline. Go into the mantra, go into the work with your highest self and or God or whatever practice you have, religious or spiritual, to bring yourself back into center so that you're not so triggered by fears or pressures or presumed pressures, actually. No actual pressure, just presumed pressures. It's what we're doing inside of our heads. Anyways, that's quite a lot of talk, and I'm not 100% sure it made sense because guess what? I feel this planet. Right now I'm a little slower, I'm tired, I slept extra, you know, just do that real big self-care. And also be considerate, you know, caring for others is also very important. You know, something else to look at too, you know, we've got these transits where Venus and Rahu are together right now in Aries, so there's this potential for, I don't want to say fast romance, but confusion around how we want to find our happiness, and does that fall with other people? Where does that lie? So, you know, there's a lot happening right now. Also, you know, keeping an eye on what we're saying. I'm looking up at my chart right now. Keeping an eye on what we're saying and how we're saying it. So important. You know, be that partner you want to have in your life, you know? Anyways, enough out of me. If you want to know where it is in your chart, Saturn, and where it's transiting for you, and where your natal Saturn is, what it rules, where it's at in your chart, and hit me up. I guess I can let you know what your birth chart is. I can send that to you, no problems at all. Anyways, lots of love. Be safe. Talk soon.